What is up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of Process Sports Radio. Once again, I'm your host, Justin Pooney. I hope you're all doing great. You're staying healthy, staying safe during these times. Remember wearing a mask and everything. Keep up the good work, guys. Hopefully we'll get there soon and life will be returning back to normal. But finally, it is finally here. Our NBA and NHL return to play show after months, which felt like years, eternal years. We have the NHL and the NBA back, and it's going to be a fun and eventful next few months where it's going to be nonstop hockey, nonstop basketball, playoff action, and I can't wait. I'm like a kid in the candy store. I cannot wait. I am so excited. I have some really interesting takes on especially the NHL and who I think is going to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, who my champions are, and I'm kind of going to break down. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down who's going to be in the finals of each league. Who do I think is going to be the biggest upset? And eventually I'll give you guys my champion at this point. Now, it could change, but at this point, this is who my champion is going to be. But before all that, I want to thank you guys all for who purchased my merchandise, my hoodies, my t-shirts, my tank tops, all that stuff. I couldn't have done it without you guys, all the support and the love that I got for it. There will be a merchandise drop coming up, like I mentioned, so stay tuned for that. There's going to be a merchandise including a giveaway, so a little gift basket I'm going to be giving away in the next coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. It will be on a contest format, so I'll be giving all the instructions and the breakdown for that. It's going to go. So please keep it locked to my social media, especially my Instagram, because that's where I'll be releasing all the information. Like I said, though, please like and subscribe to this video and my YouTube channel. Please follow me on all my social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You know where the drill is. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, this will all be up on there. Please subscribe and follow that. Like I said, guys, this is just the beginning. We're going to take this thing to the next level. I love every single one of you guys that likes and follows this stuff. Keep it up. I do this all for you. I do this for the love of the sports, the love of the game, the love of the nature, whatever, right? So please keep it up. Thank you for the support. And let's jump right in. But before we get into the NHL and the NBA, I want to talk about some big news in the NFL that happened this past weekend, where New York Jets superstar safety Jamal Adams finally got his wish and got traded from the Jets to the Seattle Seahawks for Bradley McDougall, 2 first-round picks, and a third-rounder. Now, I was listening to a lot of talk and stuff about, Seattle gave away too much. Seattle did this and that. It was a bad trade. The Jets fleeced them. No, in my opinion, I think that it was a good trade for both sides. Seattle needed a difference maker. They needed difference makers on their back end. And adding one of the best safeties in the league in Jamal Adams, who can play not only safety, but play in linebacker, can rush the passer, stop the run. He can cover tight ends like no tomorrow. This is definitely something that Seattle needed for a defense that was struggling. You look at that Seattle defense that was so vaunted before. They were struggling the last couple of years. And you look at Pete Carroll, you look at John Schneider, you look how they built that dominant Legion of Boom defense, who was a generational type defense. How did they build it? They built it from the secondary forward, right? You had such a great safeties like Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, who were the best in their positions for years and years. Then you had Richard Sherman, who was the best cornerback in that league. And you know what that does? Yes, they might not have the best pass rush, but they had guys like Michael Bennett, Cliff Averill, and that. You still had Bobby Wagner, who is the best middle linebacker. You had him, and you still have him, the best middle linebacker of his generation. You have an underrated guy like KJ Wright. You have these guys on that defense now where it's similar to that, where they're building it from the back and forward, right? Where the quarterback might have time, but who's he going to throw to? Everybody's going to be on lockdown, right? And that's going to give time for the pass rush to get after the quarterback and then stop the run. You look at Seattle, right? They're in win now mode. This is a win now move where they need to win. They have a quarterback in Russell Wilson who's in his prime, who wants to win, who has been adamant, and he wants superstars to come to Seattle to play. You have weapons like a Tyler Lockett. You have a DK Metcalf. You have now a Greg Olsen. You have a Chris Carson, a Carlos Hyde, a Rashad Penny. You have those offensive weapons there. The defense was lacking a little bit. You added a guy like Jamal Adams, who's an all-pro. 3 years in the league, been an all-pro every year. A second team or first team all-pro every year. You add him to a secondary with Quandre Diggs, who they picked up last year from Detroit, who is an underrated, very, very good safety and who was a difference maker last year for the Seattle Seahawks. Then you have Shaquille Griffin, who was a Pro Bowler last year at cornerback, who is improving every single year, who I think can become one of the elite cornerbacks in the league. Plus, you have Quinton Dunbar you picked up from Washington, who is in legal trouble, yes, but if he plays, he was rated number 2 by Pro Football Focus and coverage-wise as a corner. So there you have right there the core of a great defense where you have a secondary who's now going to be in one of the upper echelon. probably the best secondary, in my opinion, in the league. And the other biggest thing is by adding Jamal Adams, what do? You take him away from your opponents. You take him away from a team like San Francisco, a Kansas City, a Baltimore, a Philadelphia, all teams that Jamal Adams wanted to get traded to. You now have him. You have a position of strength. You want him to go to Dallas? You want him to be with Dallas and competing with Dallas for the next 4 or 5 years? No. You take him, you add him to your roster, you add him to that defense, and trust me, you have something special. People in the media like, oh, Seattle didn't do this. You know what? If the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Ravens, the Chiefs all had made the same trade, I'm telling you right now, the media would be hooting and hollering and planning the fucking parade route already. But I'm telling you right now, because Seattle got him, everybody thinks Seattle's Siberia or Alaska, right? Seattle picked up Jamal Adams. They're going to put him in that system where he is going to flourish. He is going to flourish under Pete Carroll because Pete Carroll is a defensive-minded coach. He's going to have free reign to do what he needs to do in the back end of the defense with Bobby Wagner. And hey, if Jadeveon Clowney comes back, watch out. That Seattle defense is going to be lethal, right? So I get people are like, oh, Seattle gave away too much. But Seattle trades their first-round picks anyway. They trade their first-round picks to stockpile later-round picks. Carroll and Schneider have a record of drafting guys in later rounds, whether that's a Richard Sherman, a Cam Chancellor, as mentioned, undrafted free agents like a Doug Baldwin. You name these guys they find, and they develop them well, right? So for all those people think that Seattle gave up too much, you have to do this. Big-time play. You need big-time players in big-time games to make big-time plays. You have a guy in Jamal Adams who is a big-time player for those big-time games who will make those big-time plays. You have a guy like Russell Wilson like that. You have a guy in Bobby Wagner like that. You have those three pillars of your team. Watch out, people. Watch out, NFC. I got the Seattle Seahawks going to the Super Bowl because they have defensive playmakers now. They have the best quarterback in the conference, the second best quarterback next to Patrick Mahomes. They have a young DK Metcalf who's a rising star. You have Tyler Lockett. You have a rushing attack led by Chris Carson who's going to come back healthy. The Seattle Seahawks are a loaded roster, and you watch out. And I'm telling you right now, they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. So that's my talk about the NFL right now. Let's go into the NBA. So finally, the NBA is back. As you guys can probably guess, it is so exciting. Being a huge basketball fan I am so happy to finally have basketball back. And I'm going to be honest with you, I watched all the scrimmages. I absolutely love the setup at the bubble in Orlando. The setup, the camera angles are unbelievable. I love it. I love the darkness, the stage point. The way it's set up is basically like a stage, a center stage, and I love it. I love the lighting, the camera angles, everything about it. It is awesome. So how it breaks down for the NBA is this. There's 22 teams in Orlando playing for 16 spots, 8 and 8. They are basically going to be playing 8 seeding games where only 4 teams. So basically how it works is this. In the West, the East is pretty much set where we know our 8 teams, right? In the West, it's a little bit different. You have a team like, right now, you have a team like Memphis holding on to the 8th spot with a 3.5 game lead over Portland, Sacramento, New Orleans, which basically, if that stays, so they have to play a play-in round. So how that works is after these 8 seeding games, if the 9th best placed team in the West or the East is 4 games or fewer away from the 8th place team, you basically play play-in round 4 to see who gets the 8th spot. So for me, I think going into the playoffs, I think Portland with Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and a slimmed down Carmelo Anthony will get the 8th spot, and they will make the playoffs, right? I think Memphis has showed a lot of problems with John Moran. I love New Orleans' young lineup with Lonzo, B.I., JJ Redick, Zion, all those guys. I love their roster, but I just think the experience of Portland, having a guy like Dame, who's a top 10 player in this league, top 5 player in my opinion, I just think that they're going to push it to the end and they're going to make the playoffs. And I think they're going to play the Lakers when they're going to give the Lakers a lot of trouble in the playoffs. But let's go to the East first. So I have Portland making the playoffs in the West. But in the East, I'm going to go with the defending champion right now. I'm going to roll with the Toronto Raptors. They're going to make it back to the finals this year. I just feel the Raptors have one of the best coach teams. They play the best team defense. I feel the Toronto Raptors have playoff proven. You know, they finally won the title. They have guys like Lowry, Siakam, Van Vliet, Ibaka, Gasol. I feel that they the way they play defense, the way they can shut teams down, the way they coach under Nick Nurse, I feel the Raptors can shut down anybody in the East. I feel that with the absence of Kawhi won't hurt them because they have a guy like Pascal Siakam. They have a guy like Kyle Lowry who can take those big shots and in those big moments and make them. And the team has confidence. You have a guy like Fred VanVleet who can make big shots. I don't think Milwaukee's going to make it. I don't have any faith in Milwaukee. I feel that it's Giannis or bust for the Bucks. If Giannis is on a roll, watch out. But I don't trust their secondary players. I don't trust a guy like Chris Middleton. I don't trust a guy like Eric Bledsoe. I don't trust any of the Lopez's, right? You saw what happened last year against the Raptors. Giannis went off the first two games. They looked unbeatable, world beaters and stuff like that. But once they shut him down, what happened? They lost 4 straight. So I don't even think the Bucks will make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, in my opinion. I think the Raptors or the Celtics will be in the Eastern Conference Finals, depending on how seeding breaks up. I don't think the Bucks have what it takes. I like Giannis. I don't like his supporting cast, though. I don't think they can help him, right? Giannis doesn't have a supporting cast, in my opinion, where a guy like Chris Middleton, you could trust him in the playoffs, or an Eric Bledsoe. So I think it's going to be a Raptors-Celtics Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics, I like the Celtics. I like they have 5 guys that can get you 20 points a game. I just think they're too young, and I think Toronto in a 7-game series can figure out how to stop guys like Tatum and Brown and Kemba. So I'm taking the Raptors in the East to win and to defend their title. In the West, it doesn't really matter. The West, we know it's going to be the Lakers and the Clippers. That's all that matters. Denver, Houston, Dallas, Portland, whoever, Utah, OKC, great all stories, nice. There's 2 teams that matter in the NBA in the Western Conference. There's 2 teams. It's the Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Clippers. LeBron James is going to be leading the Los Angeles Lakers, and Kawhi Leonard is leading the Los Angeles Clippers. And they're going to meet in the Western Conference Finals for a slugfest, a heavyweight title match, 7-game series. And I got the Clippers winning, unfortunately. I wanted the Lakers to win. I want to see LeBron win. I want to see Graybeard LeBron win a title. But I just feel like the loss of Avery Bradley and Rondo is really going to hurt them. And I don't trust J.R. Smith. I don't trust Dion Waiters. I think they're nice additions. I think they're good guys. I think they're good players. But I don't think they're going to beat the Clippers. As much as I want to see LeBron win and I want to see LeBron make it to the finals. And hey, if the Lakers make the playoffs and prove me wrong, I'll be the first to be happy to see that, because I want to see LeBron James make it to the finals and win another title, right? But I just feel like there's too much on him. He's going to have to go through a Portland team that's going to be gunning for him. It's going to give him a lot of trouble. He's going to have to go through an OKC or a Utah, who are no slouches either, right? He's going to have to go through the Clippers. It's not going to be easy. And I think he can do it. Like, anybody can lead a team, because I don't think Anthony Davis is trustworthy in the playoffs. I've seen him before. He's like a Paul George, and same thing with the Clippers. He's like Paul George. I don't trust him, but it's those pieces around him. What about a Lou Williams? Yeah, Lou Williams went to Magic City to get chicken wings, and it was kind of a dumb mistake on his part, but he's Lou Williams. He's the 6th man of the year. He's going to be fine, right? You got a guy like Montrezl Harrell. You got these guys that are dogs. And come playoff time, you need those dogs. And LeBron's the biggest dog of them all, right? But the Clippers got more dogs in this fight than the Lakers do. So definitely I think that I want the Lakers to win, but I definitely see the Clippers beating the Lakers in a 7-game series. And it's going to be Kawhi versus his former team, the Toronto Raptors, in the NBA Finals this year, where the Clippers are going to win. The Clippers are going to have Kawhi, and the Clippers are going to have a bit more depth than the Raptors, and the Clippers will win the title. And I think Kawhi Leonard will win the Finals MVP. And I think if Kawhi Leonard wins the NBA Finals this year and he wins the MVP, they are going to put him above Kevin Durant and in that echelon of the top 10 players of all time, because he's won 3 championships with 3 teams, 2 of them being teams that were known as losers before he ever came. So I think that the Lakers and I think the Raptors and the Clippers in the NBA Finals, and I'm going to go with the Clippers. Now, I want to see the Lakers win, because I want to see LeBron win another title in Los Angeles, and I think the whole thing, but winning one for Kobe and that legacy would be unbelievable, but my head just says the Clippers are going to win. So that's my NBA preview. I hope you guys agree, disagree. I don't give a shit what you guys think about it. It's my opinion, so deal with it. But let's go to the NHL. So the NHL, it's a little bit different. I like the NHL format a little bit better. It's a little bit easier to understand. You have your top teams in each division playing for seeding, which doesn't really mean much. And then you have the rest of the teams fighting for playoff spots through a play-in round, which is a best-of-5 series. First of all, let's go to the most important series of all. The Canucks are going to beat the Minnesota Wild. The Canucks are going to steamroll the Minnesota Wild in 3 games, and it's not even going to be close. Okay, I know we're all worried as Canucks fans if the Canucks are going to do it. Are the Canucks going to make it? Oh my God, so they choke. Canucks. I'm telling you right now, relax. We have the better players. We have the better goalie. We have the better defense. the Vancouver Canucks will steamroll the Minnesota Wild in a 3-game sweep in the play-in round. The Canucks are too loaded. They have too much depth. They're going to be a better team, a younger team, a faster team, a more offensive team. The Canucks will win against the Wild in a 3-game sweep. The Wild don't even know who their starting goalie is, for God's sake. So the Canucks are going to beat the Wild. There is no worry in my mind about that. The Canucks will beat the Minnesota Wild and qualify for the playoffs for the first time in 5 years. It is going to happen. Mark my words, it is going to happen. The Canucks are going to qualify for the playoffs officially by beating the Minnesota Wild in a play-in series in a 3-game sweep. End of discussion. Then I got the Edmonton Oilers. They're going to sweep the Chicago Blackhawks. And I got the Oilers make it to the conference finals because they have the 2 best players in the league. They have a Leon Draisaitl and a Connor McDavid, who are so far and away the best players in the league. I guess not so far away. You have a guy like Nathan McKinnon in there too. So, but I think the Oilers will ride their 2 superstars and a decent goalie, Mike Smith, with some guys like Nugent Hopkins, Darnell Nurse, like that. And they're going to go to the conference finals and go on a little bit of a run here because they have home ice advantage, if there is any, but I think there is. Then I got Nashville beating the Coyotes, Winnipeg beating Calgary. Calgary's in a shambles. Johnny Gaudreau's all out of whack. Calgary's out of here. Calgary doesn't mean this to me. And then in the East, I got Pittsburgh rolls Montreal. Everybody's talking about, what happens if the Pittsburgh loses and they get Lafreniere? Pittsburgh's going to win. They will beat Montreal, no problem. Montreal's going to get the first overall pick. They're going to draft Alexis Lafreniere. End of discussion. Then I got the Blue Jets. Sorry, not the Blue. No, I got the Hurricanes beat the Rangers. Now, this is very tricky. I think the Hurricanes are a very good team, but I also think the Rangers with Panarin and Lundqvist, they can cause a little bit of havoc. Right, that's gonna be a 5-game series, and it's gonna be tooth and nail. But the Hurricanes squeak by because I feel they're better coached by Rod Brind'Amour. Then I got a couple random ones, like I think Nashville is gonna beat Phoenix or Arizona now, and then we got the Islanders will beat the Panthers. Right now, playoff wise, I have a pretty interesting take on my Stanley Cup final pick. I got the Colorado Avalanche versus the Philadelphia Flyers in the Stanley Cup Finals. Yes, I said it. The Colorado Avalanche versus the Philadelphia Flyers in the Stanley Cup Final. And here's why. I think St. Louis has been great all year. They're the defending champs. You got to beat them to get through them, whatever. I don't think that you can replicate what Jordan Binnington did last year in net. That's my biggest factor. He was so hot last year, so good last year that he took them to they went on that magical run. And I don't think that's going to happen again. I think Colorado has a deeper upfront roster. They have a McKinnon, a Landeskog, a Rantanen, a Kadri, a Makar. The only thing is Grubauer in net. Now, I feel that if they get adequate goaltending, they'll be fine, right? I don't think Grubauer has to steal them any games. I think Colorado will be fine. But if Grubauer plays adequate, they can definitely go on a run, and I think they're going to make the finals, right? I think that they'll beat the Oilers in the conference finals. I think the Canucks will actually give the Avalanche their toughest test. I think the Canucks will lose the Avalanche in the first round of the playoffs, but they're going to push them to the very end because the Canucks are going to take them lightly, and the Canucks are going to the biggest push. And once that's through, then they're going to sail on off because that's just Canucks luck, right? In the East, like I said, Boston. Yes, Boston's been so dominant this year, but you look at you look at Tampa the year before, they got swept out and stuff like that. But I forgot. Sorry, guys. I forgot. Let me backtrack here. I forgot to mention in the play-in round, the Leafs aren't making the playoffs. The Leafs are losing to the Blue Jackets because the Blue Jackets are better coached and they play harder for their coach. And also, fuck the Leafs. I don't want to see them in, so they're gonna lose. But going back to that, Boston, they're good. They're a loaded team. They'd be the easy pick. But I just think Philadelphia, man, they got a guy like AV at coach. You have a young goalie like Carter Hart who can get hot like a Jordan Binnington last year and ride that team to the finals. You have guys like Provorov. You have a guy like Oscar Lindblom. You have these guys like a Giroux, a Couturier, a Voracek. Man, I didn't know this, but the Flyers had a sneaky, really good year. And yes, there's teams like Washington and Pittsburgh and all that, but I don't know what it's with the NHL. The NHL is so unpredictable, and I feel that this year anybody can make a run at it. And in my opinion, looking at it now, I think the Flyers and the Avalanche could make it to the finals. I really think that's going to happen. Now, I could be completely wrong, and it could be like a St. Louis Boston again or something like that, or a Vegas Tampa or a Vegas Washington or whatever, right? I can totally see the generic, everybody's favorite teams make it there, but it's so wide open. There's so much parity in the NHL, and it's so close to call. I just think that Philadelphia and Colorado have what it takes to roll to the finals, and and I'm going to take the Avalanche to win the cup. I think McKinnon is with the Draisaitls and the McDavid is the best player in the world, right? I think that the Avalanche can do it, right? But I could be completely wrong, and it's very hard. It's basically a crapshoot for me to tell, but I really think the Colorado Avalanche and the Philadelphia Flyers can make it to the finals. And I think the Colorado Avalanche are going to win the Stanley Cup. And that's what I'm sticking with. You can put money on it. You don't have to put money on it, but that's what I think. But yeah, guys, I'm excited to have sports back this week. I can't wait. Please keep it locked in on Process Sports Radio, processportsradio.com, Process Sports on Instagram, Process Sports on Twitter. Check out for my merch drop, everything like that, guys. Thank you for the support and the love. Take care, stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys soon.